Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is from the 3rd chapter, entitled Karma Yoga, text number 34. Indriyasyendriyasyarte Ragadvesu vyavastito Tayor navasamagachet Toi yasya paripantino Indriyasyendriyasyarte. Okay, sorry. Indriyasyendriyasyarte Ragadveso vyavastito Tayor navasamagachet Toi yasya paripantino. Someone. Just open up 334. Indriyasya of the senses. Indriyasyarte in the sense objects. Raga attachment. Dveso, also detachment. Vyavastito, put on the regulations. Tayo, of them. Na, never. Vasham, control. Agachet, one should come. To, those. He, certainly. asya his paripantino, stumbling blocks. There are principles to regulate attachments and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they're stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement, but one who follows the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures does not become entangled by sense objects. For example, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned soul, and sex enjoyment is allowed under the license of marriage ties. According to scriptural injunctions, one is forbidden to engage in sex relationships with any women other than one's wife. All other women are to be considered one's mother. But in spite of such injunctions, a man is still inclined to have sex relationship with other women. These propensities are to be curbed, otherwise they will be stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. As long as the material body is there, the necessities of the material body are allowed, but under rules and regulations. And yet, we should not rely upon the control of such allowances. One is to follow those rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray, as much as there is always the chance of an accident, even on the royal roads. Although they may be carefully maintained, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even on the safest road. The sense enjoyment spirit has been current a very long time owing to material association. Therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there's every chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must always be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness, or acting always in the loving service of Krishna, detaches one from all kinds of sensory activities. Therefore, one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness. That was wrong. Therefore, no one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately to become situated on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyanandana Salakya Shakshurun Minitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sivisakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasani Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yeah. Well, what strikes me is when Srila Prabhupada speaks here about Krishna consciousness, he's basically saying that rules and regulations are not required, or rules and regulations to control the senses are not required for one who is in Krishna consciousness. So in this way we're speaking really whose consciousness is absorbed in Krishna. It's no longer just who's practicing the process of bhakti-yoga in order to cultivate Krishna consciousness. It's one who has attained Krishna consciousness. Because one may be on the path of devotional service and yet in the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti, in the stage of following strictly rules and regulations, and in that way regulating the activities of lust and envy. Srila Baladev Vijayabhusan says the word paripantinu is referring to the pari, to the thieves that come on the path. And he says these thieves are lust and envy. And if one gives in to lust and envy, then one's consciousness will be plundered and all one's wealth will be depleted. Whatever piety, whatever credits we got from previous activities will become stolen. So we must be aware. So today I thought, let's have a look at some commentaries for a change. I never do that, but I brought them. It's really the right one? Yeah. So I have here the various commentaries. One from Sridhar Swami, who is from the Rudra Vaishnav Sampradaya. And he's saying that what Lord Krishna is emphasizing here is that the attraction and aversion for each of the senses towards the various objects is already established and fixed. That is why the word indriyasya is repeated twice to affirm this. Hence, and according to this fixed relationship, there's the inclination. So yes, that's the situation. We are conditioned for a long time. And the sensual desires are not just born for the first time. It's not just that just now a sense object has come into our sight and sure enough, suddenly this material desire awakens. It's not that. The material desire rather has been there for life after life, and it's looking for another opportunity. So already looking. Oh, I fell in love. Oh, how could this happen? I don't understand. It just happened. Right? Well, it was definitely destined to happen because already from previous life the desires were reinforced again and again, and therefore at the first little bit of agitation it happened. Oh, King Puranjan said, "My dear goddess of fortune, I am so glad to meet you. What happened to your lotus flower? Have you dropped it in the forest somewhere?" In this way the king was kind of romanticizing the situation. But the fact of the matter was, she wasn't Lakshmi. She hadn't dropped her flower. She was just an ordinary person. And that prince that came around the corner, he may have cauliflower ears, but anyway, you overlook it, right? Because he came on a white horse, after all. So we idealize, seeing goddesses of fortune, seeing princes, but actually having to do with people who are struggling with lust, birth after birth, life after life, and once again are trying to engage in the same activity. Puna punas charvita charvananam, chewing the chewed. And those people, that's us. What can we say? We know ourselves only too well. We are residents of this age of Kali, and our birthright is weakness. Right? No matter where we have taken birth, And no matter in what kind of body, no matter in what kind of gotra, no matter in what kind of situation, weakness is the birthright of all in the age of Kali. And compromise is found everywhere with the material energy. Then, of course, we may encounter personalities who are beyond, like Srila Prabhupada, who are beyond the material energy. The entire world is caught up in endless activities that agitate the senses. That is what it's all about. I like to tell the story how I was a brahmachari in the Amsterdam temple, and we used to every day go out on book distribution. And before that, my service was to bring all the laundry of all the brahmacharis to the laundromat around the corner. And it was a huge bundle, and I looked a little bit like those donkeys here in Vrindavan, just a huge pile of laundry and some legs under it. Yeah? So anyway, I couldn't see anything but in terms of traffic, but I thought they could see me, right? So I was as big as the road, walking around the corner, hoping that Krishna would protect me, and going to the laundromat and drop off the laundry. And then as I came out of the laundromat, no more laundry, and this time having free vision, I would look straight into the display window of the Dutch Society for Sexual Reform in Amsterdam. It was Dutch, it was for sexual reform, everything was there. And you know, there were pictures, and under it said, if you're interested in this, call this number. There was no internet yet, but ample of opportunity. Yeah? They would also have some time on TV at late nights, right, for people to explore different interests, whatever that may mean. I leave it up to the imagination, which can easily fill it in this age. So the world is not just innocently involved with the senses. The world is thoroughly involved with the senses, very thoroughly. And in some places it may be more open, in some places more hidden. It's like I read in the Times of India one time that in India there are 90 million homosexuals. I don't know how they got the number, don't ask me. That you ask Times of India. But I read it. But if you would ask around, say in India, no, in India we don't have this. In India we don't have this. Because in India these things are deeply underground, right? Deeply hidden, not so much in the foreground. But then if the Times of India, whatever authority we give to the Times of India, that's up to you. But if they quote a number of 90 million, then we can understand that here also, similar issues exist like everywhere else in the world. So basically we're dealing with a society that is in the grip of uncontrolled lust. Interesting that Baladev Vijayabhusan also highlights envy as a problem. And maybe envy is even a more serious problem. Because in envy, we make offenses, even while in devotional service. And therefore, we destroy our devotional creeper and again come in the grip of lust once again. So this is there. Okay, let me just go back to the text. So it says that even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. In the Bhagavatam it says, Balavan indriyan gramo vidvamsam apikarsati. It says that the senses are very strong. So even a man of learning is also struggling. Knowledge is not enough. With knowledge, all right, we do better. With knowledge we do better than with just determination. One may, just on the strength of determination, give up the material world. I shall give up the material world. But knowledge is stronger. In the moment, determination can be very strong, but knowledge is stronger because it gives us reasons. So therefore, we're more convinced. So knowledge is important because it gives us many reasons. Therefore, one who is in knowledge is stronger than one who is not in knowledge. Because even the most determined person, how can he maintain his determination? It says in Bhagavatam, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatir akinchana sarvir gunais tatha satamis samasate shura harava bhaktasho kuto mahatkato guna manoratina sati dhavato bahi. It speaks about the Manorat. And it says that a devotee develops all the good qualities of the devas, of the demigods, divine beings. And it also says that that a person who is not a devotee, even if he has all good qualities, he will lose these qualities again, because he rides in the chariot of the mind. And that chariot will take him away. Anyway, so those things are to be considered. So at that time, knowledge helps, right? Because knowledge reminds us, watch out, watch out. Prabhupada uses the traffic as a metaphor. And I like the traffic metaphor for spiritual life, in the sense that I start driving in the night, no light, pitch dark, right? You can't see anything of the road. All that you see is white lines. There are white lines and you drive on the white lines. The white lines of the regulative principles, of the rules and the regulations. It's all about rules and regulations. And there are traffic rules. You stick to a certain side of the road, speed. So many issues are there, right? One-way streets and so on, all to regulate. So all this knowledge helps to not smash into something, right? Traffic rules and so on, regulative principles, that helps. Still, as we continue to drive and the light of the sun is rising above the horizon, everything changes, because at that stage the landscape becomes visible. Ah, nice mountain. Ah, look at that lake. Whew. Looks cool. Yoo-hoo. Not bad. Nice place. Huh? And driving along, and still between the white lines, but no longer with the same exclusive focus. So as we make advancement, regulative principles remain, but the regulative principles, they don't become our main focus. Like we are the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are not the International Society for Regulative Principles. If we would be, then we can spend the whole day looking at each other and pointing out that things are not correct. Not correct, no, not correct.
Not correct. Not so much sorry, but it is not correct. According to the nectar of devotion, it is not correct. No, it is not allowed according to nectar of devotion. Huh? So much sorry. नहीं माना है, but what to do? Huh? These things are there. Huh? So many roles, and we can spend our days policing each other, and have an interesting society like that, where everyone looks at his neighbor to see if they are breaking any rules. And if so, then we can tell them, because that gives us immediately a platform of superiority. Then we are higher. That's a good thing. So it is very popular, the rules and regulations. It is a great tool to elevate ourselves above others. And in this way, India also fell in that trap, because that is what the Smartas were doing basically. Smarta Brahmanas are overly attached to rules and regulations. Niyamagraha, it is called. It is about rules and regulations. It is not that the rules and regulations are serving the higher purpose of developing Krishna consciousness. No, the purpose is to follow the rules and regulations. So, but Krishna consciousness is it's ultimately the path of love. Right? Gosh, this thing is so powerful. It is the path of love, of awakening love. I was yesterday speaking on this topic of prem, of love that is awakening. And it is interesting that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, a definition is given of the intermediate devotee, the Madhyamadikari. Not the Kanista, the neophyte who has weak faith, but a bit more advanced, a devotee who is determined. And it says, Ishvara tadadine su, bali sesu disatsu cha, kripa maiti, prema maiti kripu peksha, yakuruti samajama. It says, for Ishvara, he has prem. For the innocent, there is friendship. For the devotees, for the there is, and for the envious, indifference. So it is interesting that it is described that the Madhyamadikari has prem. The word prem is used. Now, fine, that may not be the same prem that is like comes at the end of the ladder from Shraddha to prem, right? It may, because it is said that bhava is prema suryamsu, is only like a ray of sunshine of prem, right? And bhava is already uttama adhikari, right? So then, how come it is said that Madhyamadikari has prem? Because it's not like flicking a light switch, right? That from one moment to the next, suddenly from the darkness of ignorance, I love Krishna. There's a lot in between where that love for Krishna is developing and growing. And basically our movement is operating on love for Krishna. And Prabhupada is very generous in that respect. We remember the famous story that Shrutakirti told us about massaging Prabhupada. First it started that they were receiving Prabhupada on the airport after having not seen him for a long time. And everyone was crying on the airport that Prabhupada was there except Shrutakirti. Dry eyes, not a tear. So he felt, I'm such a fallen soul. Everyone is crying, full of love, and I'm just cold and have no feeling in my heart what to do. So he was massaging Prabhupada later that day. So he said, Prabhupada said, yes. He said, Prabhupada, all the devotees, they had so much love for you. They were all crying upon seeing you. And me, Srila Prabhupada. No love at all. And Prabhupada said, nothing. Absolutely nothing. No response. But the next day, exactly 24 hours later, the same time for the massage, right? When he was massaging again, Prabhupada gave the answer, said, this is also love. This is also love. This service. This is also love. So Prabhupada was generous because maybe in the mind, maybe sometimes a person was divided. We find in writings of Satsvarup Maharaj, who could be honest about such things, that he also had other emotions at the time while serving Prabhupada, that he wasn't only dedicated to Prabhupada but also wanted other things. Hari Suri, although he was Prabhupada's servant, at one point he wanted to preach, and he was Prabhupada's servant. So Prabhupada said, you want to preach? Yes, Prabhupada, I want to preach. Prabhupada said, what can you preach? Right? What can you preach? He said, I am preaching. Right? I am preaching. You can only repeat, right, what you have heard. So, but Harisori wanted to leave at the time. So it's interesting that the intimate servants of Prabhupada still had a mind, right? And that the mind wasn't always aligned. Although they were with the pure devotee, now we can say things like, Prabhupada is the unique personality in the entire day of Brahma. He did the greatest work, of bringing this movement forward. But his servants, meanwhile, were also after a while ready to do something else. So it was interesting, like that. And I think that point counts for all of us. We are engaging in devotional service. And yet the mind may sometimes desire some other activity. Even chanting, do I have to do it again? Right? It's not pure love. And still Prabhupada was so generous, right? So generous, saying, no, it is love, it is love. So yeah, but it is, we would be strict and we'd say, that's not pure love. But Prabhupada didn't look like it. It may not be pure, but it is love. It is still love. You're not getting paid for it, right? Just doing it every day, voluntarily. So Prabhupada counted that as love, right? As the beginning of love. That it wasn't just fruitive, but that it really was born out of a desire to become Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Gargamuni Prabhu. Nice to see you. Now I'm becoming shy. Today at 6:30. Okay, nice. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I'll watch the time. Oh, no. Now I have a... so the topic really is how we may not be fully Krishna conscious, right? How our love may not be so deep, how even although it is not, even there may be other desires. But this is just restlessness. It is restlessness. How much faith do we have in these other desires? It's like, which devotee can claim to have full faith in sex life? We may be attracted to sex life, but full faith that it will make us happy. Full faith. It's difficult after having heard, after having transcendental knowledge. It's hard to have full faith in material enjoyment. Right? Still, we may have a flirtation here and there, sometimes, and for a moment, be in the pink cloud of illusion, but then we come back to the hard reality of suffering, and again, we endeavor more seriously to get out of the material world. So, therefore Srila Prabhupada, when he said that Shrutakirti, when he was massaging him, although he had no tears, but that was also love. Therefore he said like that. That was also love. It was the beginning love. And that is why the Bhagavatam is saying that the Madhyamadikari, like I quoted before, just to bring Shakyamuni up to speed now. No, it's, I want to. Same here. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is it's in the definition of Bhagavatam about the Madhyamadikari. It says that the Madhyamadikari has prem for the Supreme Lord. Yeah, we're having a verse here which is all about the controlling the senses by the rules and regulations. And as I point out, very difficult. We're from the age of Kali. Rules and regulations don't appeal to us. It doesn't tick us over. It's not very easy to act on just rules and regulations. We need love. We need taste. We need inspiration. Otherwise, how long can we last? So, but it begins with love, right there. As I said, we're not getting paid. We may get some benefits, but it's not outright on those benefits. We're doing it voluntarily, and there is a higher desire, a desire to rise to the platform of a pure devotee. A little bit of that desire is there, just by the association of a pure devotee. So although the Madhyam may have mixed feelings, still there's a core. There's a core of love, a core of a desire to be like a pure devotee. And that love is carrying us and is just there and growing and fructifying and will eventually emerge. It will emerge and will take over everything. It will push aside. It will push aside all other things. And it's in that way that we will just at one stage just give up this sense enjoyment and no longer battle. Like I described, as Prabhupada was using the traffic and the road as an metaphor, and as I expanded it in driving in night. We begin driving at night on the white lines. Then as the daylight comes, still white lines, but it's no longer the focus. It's our destination is the focus. The landscape, the beauty of the landscape of Krishna consciousness is the experience. Love comes to the foreground, and the regulative principles stay in the back like a safety net, keeping us on the road. And it remains important up till the end, because we are weak. Being, as I said, in Kali Yuga, that's our birthright. So the regulative principles protect us. But love is the driving force in this movement. Otherwise, how could we possibly carry on with this for a lifetime in this process of devotional service? Any comments, any questions? Yeah, there's a mic. Mic? Wireless mic? No? For the radio.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your elaborate explanations. Deep explanations. You were speaking about utilizing the regulative principles to, I guess, to prepare ourselves for Krishna consciousness, and then you were speaking about one being absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and how this verse was something that Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. I forget exactly what, but it was connected to one who has attained absorption in Krishna consciousness.
Those who are in Krishna consciousness, begins with that. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. Now look at the Hare Krishna movement. Would you say the Hare Krishna movement is naturally reluctant to engage in sense gratification? That would be a big statement. Right? The Hare Krishna movement, there's plenty of sense gratification and desire for sense gratification. Therefore, because we haven't really attained Krishna consciousness, we're on the road to Krishna consciousness, following a process, but we're not in Krishna consciousness.
So, and then say that we're in Krishna consciousness, or there's an example of devotees who are in Krishna consciousness, then it seems like there's further guidelines to remain in Krishna consciousness. Because some of the examples you were giving, Srila Prabhupada's personal servants, or also like the past time we know of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that with his personal servant, was it Krishna Das? You know, who, like, just to think that he's in the association of the Lord himself, and how he can, you know, deviate from the path of Mahaprabhu to go enjoy it. So then, those type of scenarios or pastimes, personally, it makes me feel like I have no hope.
Oh.
Because if somebody can be in the personal presence of Mahaprabhu, and then what to speak of myself that, you know,
Okay.
so.
But the rest of the story is also there. You know, it's true, the personal servant, right, was taken away by these gypsy ladies, you know, the Bhatiharis. And, you know, but what happened then? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went and pulled them back by the hair, right? And in the same way, Prabhupada pulled back by the hair, right? It's like somehow or other, Prabhupada pulled back, like somehow or other, Prabhupada brought back so many men that, you know, went astray this way, that way, but he brought them back.
I guess
so there's hope.
The main question is that if you can explain some practical ways of how, you know, to remain in Krishna consciousness
For a whole life. Well, you know, Durga me patimendasya skalat padakatir mahu. My feet are slipping again and again on this path, but by the stick of the support of the devotees. So stay close to the devotees. That's one thing. Find something to do. Something to do that you really want to do, and for Krishna, right? Something that's really, find a service. Find a service. You know, if you just do service to have some engagement, that's not good enough. Find a service that really captures your heart. Because it says, in the beginning, we love the service that we do, and later, we'll love Krishna. So to love Krishna is not so easy. And to the point, to love Krishna to the point that we're fully absorbed, fully satisfied, that's quite exalted platform. Some attraction to Krishna may be there, but attraction to Maya is also there at the same time. That's the problem. Yes, Krishna, Krishna, Maya, yes, yes. So what to do now? So then find a service, something.
And it's like, we see those who were absorbed in service, they are the survivors. Oh. It's service that is able to capture us. When it goes too ethereal, too high, Radha Krishna, very nice for a while, but we don't have the love that they have. Therefore we can't stay there. We can go there, but we can't stay there. We got to come back down. But if we do a service, something that we like to do here, like, for me, as long as there's music, I'm alive. Right? As long as I can sing, I'm not dead yet. Right? The day I stop singing, then I'm in trouble. So, still sing. As long as I sing, I think I'll be okay. It's my plan. Yeah. You keep on playing that flute and also singing and all that. Then you'll be all right. I think so. Yes.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. As you said that love is the driving force, and in spite of following the process given to us, a wonderful process given to us by Srila Prabhupada, and following his instructions, following the regulated principles, doing sermons, as you said, still if we don't feel that kind of love, is there something more we can do? We are following the process, but still we don't feel that kind of love.
Yeah. Anyway, when I spoke about this love, I spoke about the Madhyan Adhikari's love, which was not the pure love of the pure devotee, but I spoke about the Madhyam Adhikari's love, which was also called Prem in the verse of Bhagavatam. And I explained that that love is mixed, right? There's all kinds of things. So we may say that we do not love so much, but then if suddenly I would give an order as the government, not allowed to chant, forbidden, suddenly, have a lot more love than you think for chanting. Whereas now chanting is like, oh, I have to chant again. Oh, but if it would be forbidden, then suddenly we are very Krishna conscious. I also experienced it like that because, I am a freedom lover by nature. Right? So when I read Prabhupada's Gita, the purports were hammering me. They were basically telling me that the purpose of life was to surrender to Krishna, and if you don't do it, you're not sincere. So reluctantly, I accepted it. But then there was the Hare Krishna movement, which was another thing. To accept the philosophy and teachings was one thing, but to accept a movement with its authority structure and so on, that was very difficult for me. It was an independent spirit. Still a little bit. Anyway, so therefore, after a few weeks, I couldn't stay anymore. And I took a vacation from the temple. But then I found that I had become so Krishna conscious. I couldn't... In the temple, I was not in Krishna consciousness at all, but as soon as I was out of the temple, I couldn't stop talking about Krishna. All the time, with everybody. And I didn't want to talk about anything else. I was much more Krishna conscious than I thought I was. We love Krishna more than we think we do. Something is there. And Prabhupada is looking at that and fanning that. Okay, now my time is up.